late night in the dark reading designed to take you, kind of out of the dark, right? Which is why we like to do our tarot. Get some confirmation on the energies, right? Coming up on this full moon, okay? So go ahead and relax for a little bit and we'll see what comes up in the cards, okay? If you're new, please like the video or subscribe and help pass that energy around, and it brings you closer engagement with the reading, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and get started here. I might stay on the chakra thing here just because that seems to work pretty well time-wise in most of my readings. So, if you're new, I do chakra readings from, and I pull a card for each of your chakras: base, sacral, solar plexus, heart, throat, third eye, and crown, okay? There are other, energies surrounding the body, but that's like the most commonly known chakra system, okay? So we're just going to tap in and see what this collective may need to know regarding that, all right? If there's anything out of alignment that we need to be considering at this moment, okay? Think of the chakras as like your spine. I don't know if this is gonna work here, this lighting. So the Four of Wands here, you guys, that's pretty wild to start off. Your foundation is very strong, all right, unwavering. You're a very focused person when it comes to going after what you want, okay? Angel numbers may be significant for you as well, such as 1111, especially for the full moon, and you can see that there is like a full moon in the background here, all right? For some of you, you could be a self-actualizing person, right, with this pyramid here, okay? Again, very unwavering in what you desire. The Five of Pentacles. Again, that moon showing in the background, somewhat wanted to come out in reverse. Five of Pentacles came out in my reading earlier today as well. So if you have not seen that, please go check that out if this is resonating with you, because those two messages may be linked here, okay? I feel like somebody wants you to feel like you've settled, or you're settling, or there's something about being settled here, or they want you to feel unsettled, like are you, like somebody saying is, are you sure that's what you want? And really what they're trying to do is to drive you away from this dream that you have here, collective, okay? And this thing that you have a very strong foundation about. And see, this tree is here, and it's like, it makes it look like everything is really strong, but really they're kind of relying on your roots in this sense. And that's part of why it like was coming out upside down, because that's the opposite of what you think a tree would be, right? You think of a tree as giving shelter, or like think about that book, I think it's by Shel Silverstein, The Giving Tree. And it's like, yeah, you don't want to just become a stump, right, collective, okay? But some of the company that you've been keeping or wants you to be kept around them is kind of like in that misery loves company thing. So if you're doing well, they might feel some sort of way about it. Here you have the Fool card. So, it's like It doesn't matter what you do, collective. You just land on your feet, and here goes the collective doing their whatever their new thing is, and they're doing it just fine and succeeding. And yeah, and again, you're not here in this boo-hoo energy. You're here in this like I'm out here having the best time of my life, because you're seizing the opportunity here in your solar plexus energy. You're making the most out of your experience, your freedom, what some people might think of as misery or chained or whatever it is, And for some of those people, they could feel that way when they're in relationships, right? They don't feel free to be themselves. Whereas you collective, you're like, yeah, I'm coming and going like the same way, right? Um, and that's partly why you have this Four of Wands in your foundation, because it's like the universe knows that you're solid enough to handle it, right? It's not gonna tip you over. Okay, here you go, Queen of Wands, right in the heart chakra. And this daytime reading was the King of Wands, which if you go watch that reading, you'll see me say Queen of Wands. It was like coming out. So here she is, okay? It's almost like this is the female response to that masculine energy where there was the King of Wands and the King of Pentacles earlier, okay? So, oh my gosh, this is like a roller coaster. Okay. So again, Leo, Aries, Sagittarius. This heart chakra is feeling very feisty. There's a lot of sexual energy as well. So I feel like when you're coming together with whoever this person is, it's very kind of explosive. And that's another reason why some of that Five of Pentacles over there was like trying to make you think like there was a cap on that somehow. And it's like there's no cap. Okay, so no cap. Anyway, right? Is it totally uncool now that I've said it? I mean, I hope so by now. I mean, who knows? Anyway, I just try and roll with changes, folks. Four of Cups in the throat chakra. So, part of the reason why you're enjoying yourself so much is that you've been kind of communicating more about how you feel, about your hopes and dreams for the future, about what you're wanting out of life, whose garden you're tending to, and you're realizing it's okay to tend to your own here, okay? For some of you, that could be kind of a big realization, you know what I mean? Because it's like, all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I'm not needed anymore, blah, blah. It's like, but you're still needed by yourself, right? And it's like, you've not become so much of a shell, right, that you don't understand how to live, how to keep living your life, all right? The eyes have it, yeah, the World card here. In the visionary, and yeah, literally eyes in the third eye, okay? And you see the pair of eyes at the top of this card, okay? So part of the reason why this stuff is coming true for you is because you've been visualizing it, all right? And again, like how the apex of that pyramid, it's kind of like that point, where that eye is, where you're just like, you are seeing, you're following the right paths, you know what I mean? Yes, you may have stumbled. Yes, things may have not turned out how you thought along the way, but overall, have you had victory and success? And the answer is yes. Okay. And so those roads are starting to point in a direction where, many aspire to, but only few follow through. Okay. And you're on that path right now. So again, that's where this Five of Pentacles, it's kind of like some of the clingers on, okay, that, you want to be like, oh, they find you attractive. Well, okay, I mean, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it's not like the only thing, right? Okay. Now oh my God, look who decided to show up in this reading too. The King of Wands. Is this a match here, you guys? Who is this? So another Leo, Sagittarius, Aries, they could have that heavily in their chart. They could feel you moving in a direction where they perhaps aren't invited. you know, um, and that Alanis Morissette "Uninvited" song is coming up, and it's kind of like that a little bit, collective. I'm not gonna lie, it feels like for some of you that you're kind of like, look, I pretty much have closed that chapter and I'm ready for, like the new King of Wands. But this is very much feeling like an older energy, okay? And it's kind of like, I don't want to, well, this is like a horrible analogy, but it's like, it's not as intense as this, but it's kind of like, in the movie, What's Love Got to Do with It? And like Tina Turner's getting ready for her show or whatever. And then Ike comes in the dressing room and he like threatens to kill her. And she's like, she like makes him back down, and then like he basically never bothers her again right after that point, because she yet again stood up to him. It's kind of like that, where somebody's trying to come in and say like, oh well, you think you're all big and bad now, or where do you think you're going, da, 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 da. I feel that heavily coming across, okay? And that's part of this Five of Pentacles here, that came out in the sacral chakra. But I feel like, collective, you are very much looking forward to something that is a little bit more practical. And in this morning's reading, it's technically this afternoon. It may have still been morning. Anyway, it was daytime. Um, there was a King Pentacles there, kind of about the business. And part of that King of Wands had that flightier energy, okay, where it's like you have to be absolutely sure, okay? So it's like, exactly, like this person that thinks they're just going to walk back in, it's like you have to be really sure about that, okay? You can't just let and that's the thing with some of these people that feeling like butthurt or left out or whatever, and it's like, okay, well, yeah, you look good, okay, well, but at this mountaintop here, there's only room for, you know what I mean, like how many people can fit up there, right? Not everybody, okay? It's not that kind of party, right? And just because you're attractive doesn't mean that you need to do that. Like, that's not like some weird moral obligation for you to not be autonomous, okay, to yourself, and perhaps of only the people of your choosing. And that's also why this Four of Cups is here, to remind you of that, okay? Because it's like you didn't get to looking this good by being bad, right? Like people may think you're a baddie or badass or whatever, but you didn't do it by doing a bunch of drugs and like, I don't know, the bad kind of drugs, okay? Like um I'll let you guys hash that one out there. You know what I mean? And it's like, like you're willing to take that um time to understand how you're going to feel better about, you know, um where you're going, okay? With or without, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, like something's coming for you. And that's why this King of Wands is here. But that doesn't mean it's like the same King of Wands that you've always known. Okay. Um, so I would just beware of impersonators, people that aren't really serious. You have to like really hold people's feet to the fire, You know, the boy that cried wolf often comes up, and sometimes that's all people can offer is a story, is a tale. You know what I mean? Like sometimes there is no substance behind it, and that's when you kind of have to move on and go towards the healthier things. Okay. So I feel like somebody definitely possibly had a heartbreak with a past King of Wands, and for some of you, you have moved on already. Okay. Because this was perhaps for some of you a major heartbreak and betrayal. Okay. And this could have been more than one person. All right. I'm talking about past relationships here. So there's a few things going on here. But you've where you've restructured yourself, now you're kind of like out in the open, and it just feels like everything is laid out for you. And so that's when it's like, oh man, I get, you know, then some people be like, oh, maybe I was wrong about the collective, maybe they really do have their stuff together, right? You know, you ever it's like um you know, I used to work somewhere that was a pretty good, you know, place of employment. And, you know, a lot of times I'd get into a conversation with a random stranger, especially when I was in my younger years, in my 20s or whatever. And they're like, oh, I work so and so. And, you know, and I'd be like, oh, yeah, so do I. And then they kind of would like look at me and kind of like squint, or, you know, it's like their attitude towards me just like kind of changed, you know, and it's like, why is that? Anyway, you know, it's like, don't let those kind of people take away, you know, that greatness within you, okay? And that's what you've been curating, right? So again, that's something that you're like, you know, I'm happy to talk about like things that I've survived. I'm happy to talk about things that motivate me. I'm happy to talk about things that, you know what I mean, are putting me on the up and up, you know, not just riding the wave towards, you know, yet another whatever. But the thing is, collective, it's not really yet another whatever, okay? It's kind of like how the stock market, you know, how it goes like it goes up overall, but it's like there's bumps down and down and down and down. And, you know, sometimes it seems like, you know, we pay attention to those bumps down more than the rise, okay? Um, so keeping in that lighthearted spirit of the rise, okay? Many of you may need to check out your rising sign. I know astrology is very big out there, but I really would advise you to look up your entire chart for both Western and Vedic astrologies, okay? Um, and, you know, think of yourself as, um, a, a complex person, because you likely are, okay? I know a lot of people like to have this black and white thinking, but that's not exactly, you know, it's kind of just, that's just like how the stock market isn't a straight line. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, it's maybe you connect 2 points, then you make a straight line, but then the next day it goes in a different direction, okay? Like, then you have to make another point, and then it's another straight line. All right. So, where you may not be in alignment, maybe your expectation of how things are supposed to look. Okay. So, like, especially with this Five of Pentacles being in the sacral, where I feel like a lot of you could be single, even though you're like at the point where it seems like you should be in this partnership kind of thing, and you're like, um, I feel like maybe one thing you're trying to do is communicate your readiness, okay? Especially with this Four of Cups here, saying, like, you know, like I'm all cool with X, Y, and Z, but like, you know, on Fridays I like to do this on the afternoons, and I don't like to be disturbed, you know what I mean, or something. You know, just maybe you have a hobby, like you like to go, you know, golfing on Saturday mornings, like whatever it is, okay? um, that's, you know, giving to your overall well-being, okay? So that you can feel good, and then it's gonna set you in motion to explore different paths that you were not really aware of before. You started stepping through the door of this success, okay? And I feel like this King of Wands over here is more like, look for the one that's like supporting you in your endeavor, okay? Not the one that's like, I don't know, just um yeah, I think you'll understand what real support is, okay? um Especially if you go back and watch the reading from earlier today. So for those of you that this is resonating with, okay, especially relating to the King of Wands, okay. But you do have, yeah, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius here for the signs. I'll go ahead and pull a couple of Moonology cards for, since tomorrow is the full moon. That's kind of why I'm doing this reading. I have kind of a busy day tomorrow, so I don't know that I'll really be getting to readings tomorrow. So. I don't know what she's growling at. Good thing I feed her well. You know what I mean? Just saying. Okay. Collective, some of you may be feeling that way, like well fed. You're like your cheeks may be rosy, like you're getting some sun on your face kind of thing. Like I feel like, yeah, like you're stepping out kind of thing. Prosperity lies ahead, new moon in Taurus. Remember, we have a full moon coming up, but this is prosperity ahead for you, okay? So these foolish endeavors that are, you know, in ways guided, you know, um, guided, yet you still have a sure hold, you know, of what's to come, okay? Like from a spiritual standpoint, okay? You may have seen signs of things, how it's going to turn out for the better, right? The answers you need are coming. Full moon in Gemini. Gemini showed up in this morning's reading as well, in Immunology card. Oh my goodness. So, if for some of you, you've been having trouble communicating this emotional content that you need, right? Um, or it's kind of like, you know, you need something, but you're not really sure exactly what's gonna, you know, become that like saving grace, right? Maybe you're somebody who doesn't know how to golf. You're like, well, I don't really know what I want to do on my Saturday mornings, you know? You know, this Fool card here, you're going to get some of those answers when you kind of hit the ground running, okay? Oh my god, she's gonna drive me crazy. Tell you what, it's when that moon hits, it's just, a couple nights ago she was out, she had to go out multiple times. Look at the bigger picture. Full moon in Sagittarius. So the planet of luck, the Fool card, very lucky indeed, right? because still like dangling from this cliff, yet it works out, right? And oh boy, do I have a story to tell you about how it went down, right? Okay. So, part of the story that you're telling, you've been visualizing, okay? And that's why you have this world card here, okay, in your third eye. So it's almost like maybe other people didn't think it was going according to plan, but you did know it was according to plan. Surrender to the divine, full moon. So this for somebody, I mean, you could be a very spiritual person, a person of faith, something like that, where you just know that, yeah, expect powerful change. We just had an eclipse. Okay. It's like you just know that the way you've been going, it's going to turn out. Okay. Um, trying to figure out all the sounds and if that's exactly her or what's going on out there. So yeah, it's like you've been listening to spirit, to God, to whatever, that voice is for you, and where it says surrender to the divine, and it's like, um, you know, yeah, maybe it didn't happen this time, but like you're gonna keep moving forward, and then, like 2 years from now, all of a sudden you're like, hey, isn't this kind of what I was working towards? And then you like look around and realize that you have it, kind of thing. Um, and it's like that piece of faith that you have, okay? And that's going to be part of the answer, okay? Because it's like, you know, you have that question in your mind of, is this worth it? Is it going to turn out, right? Okay. But I think specifically for certain ones of you, you have really kind of thrown yourself, literally, like with this fool's journey here, okay? You've thrown yourself that way, all right? And because of it, it's turning out, all right? And then that's when people kind of want to come out of the woodwork and maybe uproot you, okay? Where they may really have never had any roots when it came to you, okay? Like they thought they did, right? They thought they had their hooks in you, right? It's part of my song lyrics to my single "Living in a Cheater's Paradise," which is available for download on all streaming platforms. One of the lines is "Never ever get those dirty hooks in me." Okay, so alrighty, I need to start rehearsing again. I have a gig next month, so which I don't do a lot of gigs anymore, but because I'm trying to focus on recording and writing music, and of course I'm still doing readings and other things. You know. So if you like this message, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and then you'll be notified of all uploads, whether they be under the videos tab or the live tab. And of course, you can go back and watch any of those readings. Many of them I would consider to be timeless. All right. So if there's something about the title that resonates with you, go ahead and click on it and give it a couple minutes, and then it's like you will know if that message is for you or not. Okay. So if you do want to get a personal reading, just a reminder, I will be at some festivals during festival season, doing readings and whatnot. So you may be able to catch me there. If not, just tune back into the channel. And again, if you don't want to miss anything, hit the notification bell, like or subscribe to the channel. And until next time, please manifest wisely. Bye bye.